Thank you very much for joining us, those of you in the audience, for the very first of our inaugural events. I would like to begin by introducing my panel. I'm joined today by Jing, who is our product director at Vieunite, and Thomas, who is the marketing director. I am the cultural director, and future events like this, there will be the opportunity to meet more of the team. Over the next half an hour or 40 minutes or so, we're going to start with an overview from Thomas of how Vieunite has partnered with a PR agency to spread the word about our texture screens and amazing library of artwork, and some of the opportunities that this has created for our artists. This is going to be followed by some thoughts from me on how artists can gain a passive income from your art and some of the challenges and potential rewards of the new digital economy for artists. Our product director, Jing, will pick up from this point with an indication of what we're working on at Vieunite for next year. Just before we dive in, I want to say a word or two about why we are holding this event and why we'll be holding others like it in the future. Vieunite is a way for art to reach a wider public. Art is a source of pleasure in people's lives, and more than that, a source of meaning. I think everyone on this call knows how much art matters and how it can improve lives. Now, Vieunite already boasts an incredible library of artworks. We have some very exciting partnerships with major galleries and collections to announce in the new year. But art is not just about the image. In fact, more than anything else, art is about the story behind the image and the person behind the story. Artists, I'm talking about you. Our mission at Vieunite is to connect a wide public with art and artists like never before. Our endeavours at Vieunite would be for nothing without our amazing community of artists. We want to find a good way of staying in touch with you and giving you a platform to ask questions and get involved. And in future events, I would love for some of you to present your work and share more of your story. Please do bear that in mind and drop us a line if you think that we can help you raise your profile or promote anything that you're doing. If you do want to get in touch with us, then please drop us an email at info@.com. So let's jump right in and move on to the first item. Over to you, Thomas, who's going to say a little bit about Vieunite's work to raise the community profile.
So hopefully you can see this now. This is some of the titles that we've been featured in so far. So some of the kind of top ones are GQ, Financial Times, T3. The second row are more kind of review type features in the Ambient, which is a smart home publication. Creative Block, which is obviously more of a creative title, as well as a YouTube influencer kind of doing a product review. A lot of the others are more kind of very specific or local titles. So yeah, we're really happy with the coverage we've had so far. As I mentioned, the kind of plan to date has been kind of preparing for the Christmas run-up. We have tried to get a variety of different coverage aimed at several different user groups. So obviously, users that are interested in art, but also lifestyle, interior design, tech and smart home, digital photography. So to get a very wide kind of coverage in terms of different types of user groups. The next stage, so for the first and second quarters of next year, really in terms of publicity, we're going to be really focusing on our partnerships, so our artists and our galleries, and kind of more business stories, so making it more of kind of personal, and potentially even do some profiles on Vieunite team members and artist stories. So again, as Ben mentioned, if you think you've got something of interest, please let us know, or a particular show, a new collection, anything at all, please do let us know, because even if we can't get it featured in some national titles or the international titles that we've worked with so far, we may be able to help you promote it on our own social media channels and so forth. And then kind of the second half of next year, it's going to be focusing more on the B2B promotion, which will help boost this new arm of the business. And we'll be touching on that a little bit more later on in the session. I'm just going to share another slide with you now, which will kind of just look at some of the numbers that we've achieved so far with our press coverage. So the total combined audience is basically the potential number of kind of people that could have seen the different coverage that we've achieved, which is obviously over 24 million, which is a great number. In terms of engagements, 1,500, basically the total number of likes, comments, and shares, of the coverage that we've had. A lot of it isn't social media based, so that number isn't particularly high. And then the estimated views is probably close to 1 million now, which again is great, because not only is it giving you reach to an audience, but potentially, as I mentioned earlier, a different kind of audience, a new audience. So that kind of concludes my part. One thing I would say, if anyone does have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat, and we'll cover them a little bit later on in our kind of Q&A session. So back over to you, Ben.
Thanks very much, Thomas. I'm going to share some thoughts now on how once your profile's been raised, you can manage the extremely tricky business of surviving as an artist and making the most of the work that you've created. Art's hard work, isn't it? It takes ages to create a sculpture or a painting, and then you need an entirely different skill set to sell it. And all of this is true, and I'm not in the business of selling miracle cures for your artistic aches and pains. In my experience, most artists think the commercial potential of their work lies mainly in selling directly from a gallery. But in this short presentation, I hope to flip your thinking and open your eyes to other opportunities that you might not already be exploiting. I'd like to conclude with a brief glimpse of how at Vieunite we are developing new ways for you to make a living while doing what you're best at, which is making art. And what I'm talking about here is passive revenue. That is income that can be earned with minimal extra effort or involvement. One example that you all know about already is selling a license to someone to display your work on a texture or canvas. But there are others. As an artist, you're likely to focus on primary sales. That is sales from your studio or gallery, the sort of sales where an artwork enters the market for the very first time. But there is a big secondary market in auctions and so forth. And thinking about this market is a really good route into our topic. So let's imagine that early in her career, an artist sells a painting for £1,000 to a gimlet-eyed collector. Years of hard work go by during which the artist slowly establishes herself and makes a name. And as the artist's fame rises, so too do her prices. 20 years, let's say, after the initial purchase, the collector then sells the painting for £50,000. In most countries, under copyright law, the seller of the painting simply pockets the £49,000 profit. Does that seem fair? In the EU and UK, the situation is different. For any artwork that is still in copyright, which is the life of the artist plus 70 years, our canny collector would have to pay the poor artist what is called droit de suite, or Artists Resale Right royalty. In the case of a £50,000 sale in the United Kingdom, the payment to the artist would be in the region of £1,931. This relatively small payment recognises the work of the artist in adding value to the collector's painting by virtue of their other labour. But really, the argument for making the payment is that it seems fair for artists' fortunes to rise alongside the commercial value of their work. Apart from anything else, if artists are not provided with the right financial rewards, then they're not going to be able to carry on making work. And in the long run, everyone suffers. Droit de suite is just one example of passive revenue, and it illustrates some of the main points that I want to cover today. The first is, just because an artwork has been sold, it does not mean that the artist's interest in it is over. Secondly, that the artist has intellectual property rights in their work that can be leveraged to support their ongoing creativity. Now, I want you to imagine a less happy scenario. Let's say the artist sells a work early on in her career for £1,000, but their prices don't go up. In fact, let's imagine they go down. This artist is so innovative and radical that their work is light years ahead of the rest of the world, and it is not until 70 years after their death that their genius is recognised. The history of art is littered with artists whose careers fit this dismal pattern. Under these conditions of lifetime failure, the artist either toils in penury or alternatively just gives up. Copyright law, even in the UK, offers nothing to help these artists because the rewards of the artist's intellectual property have got to be realised within 70 years of the artist's death. And this is true for all of the other conventional forms of passive revenue, such as the sale of commercial licenses to use artists' work on websites, in books, mouse mats, t-shirts, etc. So that's the status quo. But the art world and the economy is changing. Firstly, digital technology offers new and powerful ways for art to reach a wider audience than ever before. The old art world is slow and slow-moving and intimidating. It is the most gated part of the UK economy. It is difficult for artists to enter the art market, and it is difficult for the general public to consume and purchase art. But Vieunite is just one example of how, through digital technology, art can reach a wider public to the benefit of the audience and, of course, the artists. I sincerely believe that everyone on this call is part of an exercise to democratize art. Vieunite is still a new endeavor, but one of the things I like to do is imagine what runaway success would look like and what problems it might bring. As Jing is going to share, we are at the early stages of a new business model that has the potential to create a lot of income, passive revenue, for the artists that we work with. The digital economy, the economy for images, is shifting from an analog-first ecology that deals with physical artifacts to a digital-first ecology. Vieunite provides a secure digital platform for artists to receive passive income from licensing their work. The platform enables artists to reach new audiences, leading to a higher public profile with better off-platform opportunities. Now, although Vieunite is an innovator, we believe others will follow, and that we are responsible for setting the best and most sustainable example. It is in everybody's interest to create a visual arts ecology that supports long-term growth, enabling artists to take creative risks and develop innovative work, the work of the future. In the previous example of Artists Resale Rights, I contrasted the successful artist with the misfortunate one, the artist whose cultural worth is only recognised after her death. Our challenge at Vieunite is to build the best possible library of art that we can, and that means that we want the work of that innovator, even if she's failing in her own lifetime. That means we need to incentivize artists to carry on innovating, even if the work you are making has yet to find its audience. To do this, we need to achieve the following. We need to develop an alternative to the winner-takes-all market that we have at present in the art world. We need to find a way of rewarding artists that incentivizes quality rather than a rush to the bottom. We need to provide secure, regular payments that support artists through lean times. We need to provide appropriate rewards when success arrives, and we need to provide a fair share of the take. So I want to introduce you to something that we're working on, which we're calling Vieunite's Creative Commitment. At the moment, all of you offer your work on the basis of selling individual licenses, and you retain 90% of the license fee. Let's call this model the artist's license model. We're not proposing to change this at all. On its own, as our audience grows, this model will provide good returns to successful artists. But longer term, we need to foster talent that is still developing or maybe ahead of market demand. And we want to reward all the artists on our platform. To achieve this objective, we are developing the Vieunite Creative Commitment. We are proposing that this would be integrated as part of our new business platform, one that is likely to lead to much greater returns for our artists. And what we're thinking about introducing in this model is a form of basic income that an artist would receive just for making their work available, even if no one chooses to look at it. The way it works is that the Vieunite Creative Commitment is a pot of money dispersed quarterly to all of the artists in our library who have a minimum of 5 images and a complete profile, whose work is available for us to license in this new platform that we're developing. Unlike the current market, this new platform is based more on playlists and subscriptions. Now, you're probably wondering, I would be in your position, where's the money coming from? So I want you to imagine that you generate £100 worth of revenue in a year. Well, a proportion of your profit would go into a community chest. And 4 times a year, the total value of this chest is split equally among all of the artists taking part in the scheme. And this provides everyone with a basic passive income that is regular, dependable, and that really doesn't have much to do with how popular your individual work has been in any given year. Now, some of you might be thinking you'd rather take your chances and not be part of the scheme, but instead sing when you're winning and cry when you're losing. But as well as being good in the long term for everyone involved in the art world to foster talent, there are other reasons why I think it's fair. Firstly, Vieunite is a curated library, so everyone who is accepted is there on merit. But there is another reason. We've got some pretty high-profile artists on Vieunite already, and these artists help to raise our visibility and draw an audience to the platform. But once the audience is drawn to the library, they might satisfy their artistic and intellectual curiosity by browsing through the app and then select an image that is popular in its appeal to actually live with. And this is like, I'm sure we've all done this, I know I have, spending 20 minutes on Netflix looking at art house films to watch before deciding, well, it's going to be Frozen for the 7th time. That's how people behave. But it would be a very unfair world if the artists who got the audience through the door received no reward for their work. That is in addition to what I see as being the most compelling reason, which is that we need a system that encourages innovation and risk-taking from our artists, because I want you all to push the envelope on what you're doing and make your best work. I'm going to hand over now to Jing, who will say a little bit more about the new platform we're developing, and I think there will be time for some questions at the end. So, Jing, over to you.
Yes. So Ben, oh, sorry, my voice. Thank you for sharing all these valuable insights regarding to the copyright and licensing opportunities. So at Vieunite, we're treating our artists with the highest respect, as you can see. And to start this project, we're aiming to establish an open and safe platform for our artists to showcase and licensing their works. As Thomas mentioned, our user base is gradually expanding since our collaborations with the PR company and we're featuring in the mainstream media. For next year, our focus will not only involve in its continuous optimizations of our existing platform, including the Vieunite app, the Vieunite Artist Portal, and the official website, but also developing this business platform, which that will benefit our corporate clients and most importantly, integrating our texture into a much wider environment. We believe it will also potentially be boosting our artist incomes. As we're in the process of developing this platform at the moment, so I might not be able to share too much detail with you today, but I would like to share a couple of key points here with you. So our business platform will function through a web-based portal, enabling our business customer to manage multiple devices. It will operate on a subscription basis, offering diverse playlists based on artworks that's already available on our platform. Our artists will receive a fair payment determined by the playtimes of their selected works featured in this playlist. We understand that some of our artists' works may not really suitable for this platform as it's quite commercial. So we plan to distribute a portion of this revenue equally among all our artists annually as a reward. So as I said, the whole thing is still in the process of developing. So I will be able to really share lots of more details when it's ready, which we're aiming for next year. Yeah, that's everything. And well, if you've got anything, like the feedbacks or ideas towards this particular platform, please feel free to drop us a line. Yes, back to you, Ben.
Thank you very much, Jing. That's the end of our presentations for today. If you're feeling coy and don't have a question that you want to share right now, please do drop us a line, info@vieunite.com. We'd love to hear what you're up to. As Thomas has said, it's so valuable for us to be able to share your stories and help to promote your successes. We hope to be an ongoing partner in your creativity. So if there is some way in which you can benefit from working with us through our social media channels or otherwise, please drop us a line. Let us know what you're up to, and it would be my pleasure to jump on a call with you. So feel free to do that. Is wrap that up there. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining. I hope you found it interesting. Stay in touch.